Boker Tov, good morning. Good to see you for a 3-minute daily dose of Torah. This week, as we lead up to Shavuot, we'll be studying a few of the relevant verses in chapter 19 of Shmot. And this morning, I just want to reference the description that we find in chapter 19, verse 2, Pasuk Beit. It reads as follows. Vayisu me'Refidim, vayavo midbar Sinai. And they journeyed from Rephidim, and they arrived at the wilderness of Sinai. Vayachanu bamidbar, and they encamped in the wilderness. Vayichan sham Yisrael neged hahar, and Israel encamped opposite the mountain. Of note that in this verse is the shift that happens between plural and singular. In our modern English parlance, we've grown to accept using they sometimes to refer to a single individual in our grammar, but in classic reading and classic text, we shouldn't be satisfied with that. And indeed, Rashi, quoting the Midrash, sees that shift and makes something important of it. And he says that, yes, on the one hand, we describe it, they journeyed, they arrived, and they encamped in the wilderness. And then it says, and Israel, in the singular verb, encamped. Says Rashi, Vayichan sham ki ish echad belev echad, like one person and with one heart. Israel were united. The Jewish people were all united there as if they were one single entity, and that is the power of this moment. There was a sense of something that holds us all together. Not allowing other things to divide us, not imagining things to divide us, as we stood there at the foot of Sinai preparing to receive God's Torah. And this is often a verse that's quoted in a beautiful statement about the Achdus and Jewish unity. We should note the continuation of the Rashi says, Aval, but Shar kol hachanayot, but all the rest of the encampments of Israel, we don't bother saying using the singular verb. We use the plural verb. We should understand them to be betar omet uhu machloket. They were filled with strife and disagreement, and so this was ultimately it comes as sort of a delimiting factor. This was a unique moment, Matan Torah and Har Sinai. For the most part, Jews gripe and kvetch and fight with one another and fight with their leadership. That might be the majority of the time, Rashi seems to say. But the truth is, that's not relevant to us. And that was unfortunately the case in the Midbar, where there were case after case and time after time where the Israelites were complaining, and ultimately it led to their being condemned to 40 years in the Midbar. That's not what's important. As we arrive at Sinai in just a few days, we want to hearken back to that moment and allow that to be the defining factor for us as a people, even in this day when we know Jews are want to strive with one another and to fall into machlokes. We say, okay, that might be what people often do, but this is what we aim to be. This is our aspiration, and as Shavuos comes, we return to that sense, what all Jews share with one another. Vayichan sham Yisrael neged hahar. Let this be a day where we try to feel the connections that we are meant to have and hold us together.